So today we'll see how do we add a user to a, how do we give access, sudo access to a user. So I've successfully connected to the machine. Let me create a new user. So how do you create a new user using useradd command? Let's say our new user is Jindal. Let's say for suppose I've created a new user and I have to set a password for him or reset anything. For the command is psswd. So new password is, let's say, 1234 1234. So I have successfully created a user and I have uh, I gave him the password as well, and I've set the password for him as well.
So it won't appear, sir, typing the new password.
No, it will not appear.
Okay, sir.
Password rates on Linux, it's all encrypted.
Okay, sir.
Now, let me log in to this user. SU stands for switch user. Hyphen as in to its home directory, to Zindal's home directory. 1234. So now I'm inside his home directory /home/Zindal. Let's say I use a touch command to create a file. It has been created and it's with Zindal. Let's say I'll create a file with sudo and let us see if he has sudo access or not. As you can see, Zindal is not in the sudoers file. This incident will be reported. So he doesn't have sudo access. So that's the reason he is not able to run sudo command. Okay. And so how do you give him sudo access? Exit first, exit out of it. EC2 user. EC2 user has sudo access. So he can give sudo access to others as well. So there's a file called etc. Inside etc, there's a file called sudoers. So if you come down, as you can see in the 100th line, according to this, the root user has all kind of access. And according to 107th line, all the people who are inside the wheel group can run any commands anywhere. So either a person should be a root in order to have sudo access, or he should be inside wheel group in order to have sudo access. Let me quit from this. So let me check which groups am I into as an EC2 user is into. So ID space EC2 user. ID command just it's not ID. What is it? Yeah, it just what error is okay. It just prints the details of that particular user. That's it. As in, what is his ID? What are his group IDs? That's it. ID is simple command. So EC2 user is into a group called EC2 user ADM. Sorry. EC2 user is into a group called EC2 group, EC2 user group, ADM group, wheel group. So by default, according to the file, people whomever that can be, if they are inside this wheel group, they'll have sudo access. Okay. Now let me check ID for Jindal. See, he is not into wheel group. So that's the reason he does not have sudo access. Okay. So how do you add a particular user into for a group under a group? Using a usermod command. Usermod -a G What's the group name? Wheel group. Whom do I want to add? Jindal. This is an administrative task, so it obviously throws permission denied, and I'm using, that's the reason I'm using sudo. So now let me check the Jindal's ID. He is inside wheel group. So now, according to us, he should have sudo access. Let us cross check. Let us switch to Jindal user. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now let me use sudo command for him. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see, there was no error. So this particular file got created with the ownership of root. Okay, because he has used sudo. He has sudo access. That's the reason it has been created. So this is how you give a particular person the sudo access. Any doubts, guys? So you understood how to give a particular person the sudo access?
Yeah,
Yes.
can you please explain hyphen A and J? What it exactly mean?
A is for adding, G is for group. So
Yeah, okay.
There are, there are many options. You can simply go through the manual user mode. Add or append the user to supplementary groups with -G.
What if we want to change the password later for this user?
Uh, Same command, PSSWT.
Okay.
It will reset the password.
Okay.
So for creating the file, it asked the password for Jindal user. So
Mhm.
so yesterday you showed, right, sir? In we going.
Sudo touch file 3. Now it will not ask. So it asks only for like once.
Okay, okay, only once.
Mm.
So it saves in .bash files the password, so that it's
Uh,
not asking for the second time.
no, it has all the required files. It is just verifying, that's it. Yeah, it stores, but not in .bash files because it's all password, right? Even if they're encrypted, it's not safe to store password. It
No.
stores in a separate file called PSSWT in encrypted format. We have already seen, right? Or there is another file called shadow. So here all the passwords are stored, but in encrypted format. This is the password,
Okay, okay,
encrypted format of password for 1, 2, 3, 4.
got it, sir. Thank you.
So this is how you give a particular guy the sudo access, or there is another way. What you can do is so in 101th line, instead of so you can follow this syntax. Which syntax? This particular syntax. You can manually add. Let's say we are adding Kumar user. So Kumar, I am giving all sorts of permissions for him with no password space or I'm following this syntax. Okay, 1/10th line syntax. So you can directly add him in the sudoers file if you don't want him to add. I mean, if you don't want to add this particular Kumar user into wheel group, this is another way. Save and exit, and then Kumar will have sudoers access. You can also add a new group below this, so that all the people inside that group will also have sudo access. So you can do whatever you want. I'm not saving. I'll just quit. Okay, that's your task. You have to give sudo access by adding uh, him inside the sudoers file. You should not add him in the group. First try with group and then try without adding him in group, directly adding him in the file. So that's about sudo. Now we will talk about file permissions. If I type ll, okay, let me go back to some etc, some random directory. Yeah, if I type ll, what do you mean by this? So the very first thing indicates hyphen. If it is hyphen, then it's a simple plain file, regular file. If it is a D, then it's a directory. If it is L, it's a soft link file. We have already seen what a soft link is or what a hard link is. So L indicates that this is a soft link file. If it is hyphen, it's just a regular file. And then we have permissions. We totally have 3 permissions: read permissions, write permissions, execute permissions. So the first set are the permissions for the owner. So who is the owner for this particular file? Let's say root is the owner for the particular file, and this file belongs to a group called root. Okay, if I use touch space file1, touch space file1. So for this particular file, who is the owner? EC2 user is the owner, and it belongs to a group called EC2 user. So it's a regular file. The permissions for owner, the permissions for group, the permissions for others. So who is the owner? EC2 user. So EC2 user has read-write access. The permissions for group members. What's this? This file belongs to which group? It belongs to a group called EC2 user. So this group members have read-write permissions. That's it. Others. Others as in anyone. It can be Zindal. It can be Kumar. Anyone have only read access. They cannot edit this file. That's it. So that's about these permissions. So the owner has read-write permissions. He does not have execute permissions because there is hyphen. The group members as well have read-write permissions and they do not have execute permissions, whereas the others have read permissions. That's it. And now this indicates that it has what number of soft links? Okay, it has one soft link. That's it. As in it itself is a file. That's it. If I do ll slash, you can see this is a soft link, and this is a soft link. Let me go to user bin. Yeah, as you can see, this has 2 links. So every directory has at least 2 soft links. I'll explain why it has 2 later, but for now, 1 second, we will complete the rest of things. Okay. This indicates number of soft links file. If I create ln-s file1 hyphen soft. Okay, it's not showing. Okay, I'll tell you about this later. It indicates number of ways you can access, I suppose. For a directory, we have two ways to access a directory. So mkdir space dir1. By default, every directory has two ways. So let's say you want to access cd. So cd space dir, or you can simply use cd dot, as in once you are inside this, you can use cd dot. So let me go back. So the number of ways you can access this directory are two ways. You can ignore this. I'll let you know again this. Okay. For now, we will concentrate on the permissions and the ownerships. So this particular file is a regular file. How do we know that? Because there is hyphen over here. And this is a soft link file and this is the directory. So these are the permissions for the owner, group members and others. This is the owner. This is the group member. I mean, this particular file belongs to a group called ECT user. And this is the size. If I type lslh, h has a human readable format. It converts everything into bytes. So it has very less size. Okay, modified date, and then the name of the file. That's it. Now we will see how do we change permissions for this particular file. We have a command called chmod. We totally have two ways for changing the permissions of a file. First one is absolute, and the second one is symbolic mode. So we will see the absolute mode. Before that, we will assume some values. Okay, for read, let it be 4. For write it, let it be 2. For execute, let it be 1. So what is read write permissions? 4 plus 2, 6. What is read execute permission? 4 plus 1, 5. What is write execute? 2 plus 1, 3. What is read write execute? 4 plus 2 plus 1, 7. Okay. So this has 6. 4 plus 2. This has 6. This has 1. So 6, 6, 4. Sorry, read is 4, right? So it's 6, 6, 4. So the permissions of file 1 is 6, 6, 4. Now tell me what's the value of read write execute, read write execute, read write execute. Anyone?
888
No. Come again, come again.
777. Sorry.
Yeah, that's correct. What's the permission for 655?
Six is read and write,
Hmm.
and 5 is read and execute.
So
Read
you,
mail.
yeah, you have to say that the owner has read write permissions, the group members has read execute, and the others also have read execute permissions.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's about, this is how you can change using chmod command. Let's say I want to give full permissions. So use 777 space whatever file you want. So now you can see this particular file has full permissions. Let me create 227 files. So chmod, let's I'll give 7 only read permissions for for others. File2.text. So as you can see, file2.text. The owner has all permissions, whereas group members and others have only read permissions. They cannot edit this. Okay, this is how you give permissions, set permissions using chmod command using absolute way. There is another way called symbolic mode. We will see that. Chmod. User equals to read, write, execute. So here we'll give directly the symbols, comma, group members is equals to, I just want read access, others equals to, I also want only read access for him. For which file? Let's say file3.text. As you can see, read, write, execute, read, that's it. So now let's say I'll use plus symbol over here and I'll use equals to write. So what's the difference between equals to and plus? Equals to will erase everything and it will replace with the permissions you give. Let's say owner user equals to rwx or user equals to read. So everything gets replaced with uh, rw. Okay, let's say for suppose u equals to rw. So now whatever the permissions user has, user had, everything gets removed and that will be replaced with read write. Similarly for group as well, because we are using equals to, everything gets replaced with write. Whereas others, an extra permission will be appended. He already has, let's say, write access, so that will not be touched. Only read will be added. Now let's say I'll add write because he has already got read. So I'll just add an extra permission. So plus will add extra permissions, equals to will replace whatever he had with the existing ones, with the given ones. Okay, u equals to rw. Earlier I had read, write, execute. So I've replaced with read, write. Even group I've replaced with it w. Earlier I had a read, it got replaced with w. And for others I have added an extra permission, write, and it has got added. That's it. So that's the difference between equals to and plus. Minus, it just removes that particular permission. That's it. So any doubts, guys? Here you have lots of examples. You can go through it. For a directory, in order to change, you have to use -r flag. Let's say you want to change the permissions for a particular directory. If you simply change, only that particular directory gets affected. If you use -r, all the subdirectory subfiles inside that directory also gets the permissions which you give. Okay, so you have to use -R, which is recursive. So you are recursively giving permissions to all of its directories. Okay. Yeah. So now ownership. What is ownership? This is the ownership and this is the group member. If you want to change this, how do you change? Using ch own command. Ch1, let's say I'll change this to Jindal. File3.text. You need to have sudo access for this. So sudo ll space file3.text. As you can see, the owner has got changed from EC2 user to Jindal. Now I also want to change the group. So Jindal : Jindal. This is the syntax.
Sir, does this owner and group append or it is completely changed?
It's
What
completely changed. The ownership is changed with Jindal.
Okay. So if we want that EC2 user to be existing along with Jindal, then
No. See, ownership is only one can have, right? Ownership.
okay.
Okay. So that's about changing ownerships. You can use chown command to change the owner and group number as well, or owner name alone. You can also use ch group just for changing the group name alone, but you can do that using chown command itself. You don't have to again go to chgrp. If you want to change for a particular directory the owner name and group name, you can use -R, which recursively changes for everyone inside that directory. It can be a directory or a file. So that's about file permissions. Now we will talk about shells. So what is shells? Echo $shell. So environmental variables can be accessed using $symbol. So this it prints the current shell. $shell variable stores your current shell, what shell you are using. How can I get to know all the environmental variables using a command called printenv? It displays all the environmental variables which we have in our machine. So here is our environmental variable. In order to access this, you have to use $. I'm trying to print this, so that's the reason I'm using echo. That's it. I'm trying to print an environmental variable. If you want to print another environmental variable, let's say user,
So
echo $user. This prints the environmental variable echo a $. Okay, yeah, tell me.
so environment variable means assigning a value.
Yeah, assigning, no, they're not variables, they're environmental variables. But yeah, assigning a value to a variable, that's correct.
Like alias.
Not like Elias, kind of. They are more or less. Okay, you can say that.
We are printing a particular variable from the
Yeah,
print environment.
alias, they're only dummy commands. You can say they're all used to call another commands alias. Whereas this, they're like variables. Okay, global variables. You can think it out.
Okay. Okay.
So echo $user, echo $shell. So now what is shell? Shell is an interpreter which converts human to machine readable language and machine to human readable language. So this can be done by many number of shells. This interpretation does, we have many shells which does this interpretation basically. We have PowerShell, we have command prompt, we have git bash, we have sorry, not git bash, we have PowerShell, we have CMD, we have what do you call bash shell, we have sh shell, we have tsh shell, we have csh shell, we have zsh shell, we have ksh shell. There are many shells which does this purpose. So why do we need these many number of shells? Can't we just use one single shell? It's not like that. See, few of the people are familiar with certain kind of syntaxes and few of the people are familiar with other kinds of syntaxes. So based on that, they'll choose the shell. If you're comfortable with PowerShell, you'll go with PowerShell. If you're comfortable with Linux, Bash shell, you go with Bash shell. If you're comfortable with C language compiling, etc., then you go with CSH shell. Okay, etc. Or you can go with SH shell. There are many shells which we have. What's the purpose of a shell? Ultimately, is to convert one human form of language to machine readable language. So any shell has to perform this particular task. The only thing is that how you pass the commands to it differs. That's it. Okay, that's about shell. So how can you know all the available shells in your machine? There is a file called shells inside etc directory. It gives you all the available shells you have. So for this machine, they have installed these shells: sh shell, bash shell, tsh shell, sorry, tcsh shell, and csh shell. These are the shells which they have installed. Let's say you want to switch shell. How do you do? First, you have to know the password of your UCT user. So I'll set password for him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, I've set the password for him. So now there is a command called chsh, which stands for change shell. Okay, let me install. I don't have this command chsh. So just use this command for installation. I'll explain you what is this command. Sudo yum install util Linux user. Now let me type chsh. So changing shell. You can install that using this particular command. Sudo yum install util Linux user. Okay, fine. So now changing shell for UCT user. What shell do you want to change? I mean, to which shell you want to change? I want to change it when CSH shell. Password 1234. Shell changed. So in order to get effect immediately, you have to log out, and then you should again log back in. So echo dollar shell. So now I'm using CSH shell. So CSH shell for while scripting, if you're familiar with C language, you can easily script. So people might choose CSH for that reason. Okay. So that's about how you change shells. You can go through it. You'll get to know. So tomorrow it's Sunday. I'm thinking of taking a half an hour class. That's it. Within half an hour, we can wind up this package management. Yeah, guys. Tomorrow we'll connect at 7 o'clock, and I'll explain this stuff. Package.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, guys. Do you have any doubts? Fine then. Okay. You go through the entire topic. Okay. You revise whatever we have discussed so far, and then let me know if you have any doubts in the tomorrow session. Okay, guys. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining the session. Have a nice day.